Well, come on along and thanks for coming aboard with Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Poyer with you here as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Monday, August 19th, as we continue to dive straight on into the fall. But the one good thing is we're that much closer to football season. As this past Saturday marked 2 weeks from IU's kickoff with Ball State up at Lucas Oil Stadium. So you got that going for you, which is nice. But not a lot going on otherwise. It's a very kind of a quiet weekend. We'll get to a lot of things involving the IU golf course being dedicated last Friday. That is going to be a spectacular championship caliber golf course. A lot of people out there. Fuzzy Zeller was out there. I saw talked to Alan Henderson, Angelo Pizzo. We'll hear from Angelo. We'll hear from Mike Mayer, the golf coach who's been the coach there for 22 years. I think this is his 22nd season as the head guy. But the Fowl Golf Course in Indiana being dedicated last Friday, and it is going to be spectacular. It was funny to hear everybody talk about how pathetic the old course was, but I played it back when I was in college, but man, I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But the most unique thing about the old IU golf course for me is I saw an albino deer when I was playing there. I think the last time I ever got to play that course, which was a long time ago, but kind of wild. But on the basketball side of things, Caleb Love is set to visit the Indiana Hoosiers this September, weekend of the 13th through the 15th. He also has visits scheduled with Missouri, North Carolina, University of Louisville, and Kansas, with Arizona picked also in his top 6. So I'm not sure who's getting the visits. I think Arizona may not have an official visit, so I'm not sure how that's working out. But Jordan Geronimo also set to visit a little sooner, the weekend of August 30th. That's a big weekend, but Indiana will have a football game that weekend, but unfortunately they'll be on the road up in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil, that game I talked about with Ball State. Women's volleyball starts on the 30th, though, so looking forward to that. So a lot going on that weekend. Saw Blake Wesley. He's one of the IU recruits that from South Bend Riley. There's a pipeline started there, Demezy Anderson. I'm sure that he's doing some self-recruiting, but Matthew Cross, we haven't heard a lot out of him lately. He could be at a decision point any time. I'm really expecting that to happen at any time now. He's made his visits. He's done his due diligence, and we'll see how that turns out. Still waiting to see who the next coach at Indiana, assistant coach for Indiana, is going to be. That's what we going on 2 months now, and it cracks me up when I keep hearing the fan sites talk about, well, they don't need to be in a hurry. It's not about needing to be in a hurry. This is beyond needing to be in a hurry. This tells me that you go this long. Well, either you don't have your guy, can't get your guy, or are not satisfied with the guy you have. And I'm not saying that's at this point now, but it's taken quite a while to get here, and you keep hearing, well, it's in a dead period, but it doesn't matter. He's a coach. So to me, the quicker you get your coach in to develop relationships, to understand the players, because they're also a coach. They are responsible for coaching a certain area of the game. And as we continue to get closer and closer to practice, you'd think that sooner rather than later would be better for that. But I wouldn't think that this could drag on much longer. Of course, I said that a month ago, after a month. So we'll see how it goes. The Colts are progressing through training camp without luck. Well, they have some luck, I'm sure, but just don't have Andrew Luck. Jacoby Brissett looked pretty good in a preseason game for the Colts. I think they lost that game. I don't remember the score, but it's not relevant. Preseason scores are irrelevant. Some sad news. Jack Whitaker, longtime television presence with sports. Man, if you remember him on ABC, and I remember him growing up. Great voice. Also, Cedric Benson, former Texas running back. He's a high school phenomenon in Texas, rushed for over 8,500 yards, and then at Texas had a pretty daggone good career, then drafted number 4 by the Chicago Bears. But he passed away at much too young age. Funniest picture of the weekend, if you look on Twitter, follow Twitter, Trey Galloway. Pretty funny. He had a basket with a sign out in front of his house, free Purdue shirts. So all of his Purdue shirts he was giving away. The fact that he had any Purdue shirts is somewhat surprising, but he did. I'm just kidding. It's not really up there where he lives. Indiana football practice will continue today as they are looking to name a starting quarterback. Not sure when that's going to happen, but we're within the last week of it not being announced. I promise you, it's either going to be today, Thursday, or next Monday. At least it's narrowed down to that. I'm going with actually sooner rather than later. I'm thinking possibly Thursday that announcement is going to be made. They're going to be there's a walkthrough practice up in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium on Thursday that we'll be there to cover. But I'm guessing that might take place then. It's kind of a unique venue, perfect timing to do it, because if it doesn't come Thursday, it won't come until that next Monday. And I'm not sure if that's usually we don't speak to Coach Allen on Mondays until after practice, so that would be yet another one. And so I'm expecting this announcement to come Thursday. That's just an educated guess, mind you. But just because of the circumstances being up at Lucas Oil Stadium on Thursday, being a walkthrough and being kind of a unique venue to make that announcement, and it's the next to last opportunity for him to do that with the media. So I'm voting on Tuesday as when we'll expect to know who that starter is. And, of course, that's down to, without doubt, not because it's been said, but we can just tell. This is a two-man race. It's Peyton Ramsey and it's Michael Penix, just like it was last year. Last year, ready at the start of the season to assume that role, although he did certainly think so by the time the Penn State game rolled around. And, we have Matt Weaver on the show each week, and last week talking to Matt, he just made one comment that really stuck with me, the fact that, Michael Penix enters camp behind because of the knee injury that he's dealt with, and Peyton Ramsey already had a leg up experience-wise. He was already there a year before. He played the entire last year, especially after Penix went down, but he played. He started the entire season last year. Through spring, he had an advantage because he was going full bore while Michael Penix was still rehabbing. So, but the fact that he was that far behind and within the first 2 weeks of training camp caught him. It's a dead even race. That really tells you that tells me, and I've never shied away from the fact that Michael Penix should be the starter. He has a much higher ceiling. He has abilities to do things that haven't been accomplished by the offense in the last couple of years, particularly to stretch the defense, be able to go downfield. And I think that alone will be enough to make him the starter, but that's just a guess. We'll see what Kalen DeBoer thinks. And that's another thing you have to look at. You got Kalen DeBoer coming in who has a fresh set of eyes. He's not prejudiced. He doesn't have a perceived loyalty to Peyton Ramsey. So he's completely open and being the new guy, all he wants to do is win and score points. So he is definitely going to put in the guy who he thinks is the one that's going to do it. And if he goes with Peyton Ramsey, I'm going to have to say, all right, I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. And I don't think that this is a situation where if whatever guy he named that Coach Allen would trumpet, I think that he was going to allow Kalen DeBoer to make that decision. Now, I know Kalen DeBoer will probably have discussions with his position coaches and whatnot, but ultimately, I think that ultimately it's Coach Allen's decision, but I think he is going to allow Kalen DeBoer full reign to run that offense. Like he has said in the past, he viewed the offensive coordinators as the offensive head coach, which he's probably backed away from that now that he has relinquished DC roles and fully focusing on being a head coach. But even with that, I just fully suspect that whatever Kalen DeBoer goes with is what Coach Allen is going to go with as well. We'll certainly find out, and I think we find out on Thursday. What do you think? Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Let us know. And if you ever want to send in a question, I know a lot of people listen to the program at various times because we're on various stations at various times, but we're also – you can hear us online, of course, as well, which most people listen at various times. You can still send in your questions. If any comments you have, send them in any time. It doesn't matter. I roll them over to the next day, and I read them all. 269-6367 is our text line. So feel free to hit us up. Or if you follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB, you can send it in there as well. So because my deal's open, so you can send in comments, questions, whatnot. But we appreciate it. Thanks a lot for following us. We appreciate it. A lot coming up on the program today. Mike Schuman from the Daily Hoosiers with us. Can't believe I went that far in and didn't mention that. That's unusual. We'll also hear from Dave Womack. He's the coach of or the father of Kane Womack and the defensive coordinator for Indiana. But this dude was a big-time DC, man. He worked a lot of years in the SEC, and he's a long-time successful defensive coordinator himself. And it's kind of a cool story. I think that there's some stories out there. You can go to either Sports Illustrated Maven line with Tom Brew and find out that he had some great stories this week, in addition to Mike Schuman as well on those very things. In addition, also to Kevin Brockway. So check out all those guys. They're great friends of the show, and they come on each and every week. But complete coverage there. I know a lot of people want some basketball news. There's not a lot there right now. It's such a, and Archie keeps more of a very, very tight ship as far as information coming out of that. Talked about the players earlier that have visits scheduled, whether it's Caleb Love or Jordan Geronimo. Blake Wesley is already visit. Matthew Cross, I talked about him. We'll head back out to IU football practice today. Normally it's in the morning. They've moved it to the afternoon, which is a little surprising. It must have been a scheduling thing because it's going to be hot today, I think. So either that or they want to get in one big burst of heat. It's been nice and cool in the mornings thus far. Practice starting at 10 a.m., so moving that thing to 2 p.m. Whoo, son, that's going to be warm. Not looking forward to that. Indiana football lost out on Deontay Craig. I talked about that a lot last week, the kid from Culver. Man, really expected Indiana to get him, and then all of a sudden at the very end, things turned around, and it was obvious that that wasn't going to happen. And I understand that talking to some people that it surprised some members of his family. They weren't behind the decision, I guess you'd say. But he's got to do what he thought's best. He ended up taking his services to Iowa, and it's kind of a lot. I don't want to call it a loss, but it's a loss. And that would have been a jewel of a get to add to what Tom Allen has brought in thus far, especially they try to continue to rejuvenate that defensive front line. Man, Deontay Craig would have been a nice piece to that, but oh well. San Francisco takes on Denver tonight in another preseason game. Can't wait. That'll be exciting for about the first 15 minutes and then forget about it. You turn that thing around. But we've got who are you rebooting, Jake? Tom Brew, our good friend Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven Network. Up next here, we'll be back with more on the program today. Like I said, Mike Schuman, Dave Womack. We'll hear from Mike Mayer, Indiana golf coach, and Angelo Pizzo as we talk about this new wonderful foul course at Indiana University. Stay tuned. We got plenty more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you here, Indiana Sports Beat. Now, I'm about to start a new segment called What's Brewing with Tom Brew. How you like that, Tom?
I like it.
I need to get
Happy
a coffee
Friday
sponsor.
to you, Jim.
Happy Friday to you, man. We need to get a coffee sponsor. We can start doing What's Brewing with Tom Brew. I like that.
There you go. Of course, there's nothing wrong with beer sponsors either, right?
There you go. They brew beer, absolutely. And it is Friday. It's Friday. It's noon somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, you're right. I could use some coffee right now, Friday morning, to get my day jolted up. So it's going to be a busy one.
Big day for the football program as they get closer and closer to naming a starting quarterback. You've got an article coming out on the Maven platform, Sports Illustrated Maven, that as a few of us have, you think that Michael Penix is the guy, and they've heard me say it, but there's a reason why, and of course tell what there's a difference. There's just a difference when he's on the field.
Well, yeah, I think so. It's the story is up already too, and getting an enormous amount of comments from the Indiana fan base for sure. And for me, I just think there's more upside to him playing. And if they start him right from the get-go, he's got 2 non-conference games before Ohio State where he can get his feet wet and get comfortable, and be ready for some obviously huge Big Ten action right away. But I mean, I think he's proven himself, and I really tried to make the point in writing the story that it's not meant to be an indictment of Peyton Ramsey. I just think they have a better chance of winning close Big Ten games with a quarterback who's a little bit more of a threat than Peyton is, and I think Michael Penix is that guy. And what I've really been most impressed with him is obviously we already knew he had a big arm, he could throw all the passes, and his deep balls are great, his out routes are great, all that. But I've been really impressed with watching him be a leader out there on the practice field these first 2 weeks. He's if a receiver runs a wrong route, he's all over him, and he knows what everybody on the field is supposed to do. If a guy lines up in the wrong spot, he's all over him, while it's happening. And then when the play's over, he's got his arm around him talking to him. I mean, that's what leaders do. and you don't always see that from a redshirt freshman. So I really do think he's ready, and I would like to see them make that call. But obviously, that's just my opinion.
And there was we had a text into the show from Tim earlier that pointed out that Indiana leads, I think, the Big Ten with deep pass threats, and that's nothing that we didn't already know. But when you have guys like Nick Westbrook and Donovan Hale and Ty Freifogel, guys that can catch the ball, man, they can get downfield. They got to have somebody that puts it in their hands. And Peyton Ramsey is undoubtedly shown that he's very more than capable of doing that. That's actually been, I don't necessarily say the knock, but
you said Peyton Ramsey, but I think you meant Michael Penix, right?
Right. Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. Michael Penix has definitely shown that he can do that, and it's not, again, a knock on Peyton Ramsey, but it's just there's limitations, and we've seen that. We saw it last year, and we saw a 5-7 season as the result. And so it's just you got to go with what puts you in the best position to win games, and I agree with everything you've said.
Well, I always appreciate that stamp of approval, but obviously, what's going to happen, Jim, is it's not our call. The call belongs to Tom Allen and Kalen DeBoer, and they not only know what they're doing, but B, they also understand that there's an enormous sense of urgency to this season, and this has to be a good year for this team. This cannot be another 5-7 season. It cannot be a 4-8 season. It cannot be, God forbid, a 3-9 season. It can't be that. And they have to win. They have to win games, and there's a lot of games on their schedule that are going to be close, and there's a lot of games on their schedule where a quarterback's going to have to step up and make a throw in the fourth quarter to score some points to win a game. And I think I mentioned in my article that with Peyton being the incumbent, if he had knocked everybody dead in practice for 2 weeks and he was clearly the number one, then they would have already announced that he was the number one. But that hasn't happened. He's been okay, and he's been, I think from watching what we've been able to watch, I think he's been very cautious and very conservative with his throws and not taking many chances. And I think the 13 interceptions he threw last year and people being in his ear about turnovers all the time has made a difference. And, I don't know if he's got a big enough arm to make all the big throws when it has to happen, and it's like, at least from a comparative standpoint. Now, that's arm strength isn't the only thing that matters in a quarterback. You've got to have all those other intangibles as well. But I think it's certainly a big tiebreaker, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I know they could go up to the week before they kick off with Ball State before they make that announcement. I don't think they do. I think that they want to get to it as soon as possible, but it's also that's the team needs that as soon as possible so they can get into a rhythm that's going to be their game type situation, their season like situation. The sooner they can get to that, the better the offense is going to be, so they can get into the rhythm of who's going to be the starter, taking all the reps with the number one unit. Right,
and obviously they're scrimmaging on Saturday, and Tom was very clear yesterday that it's a big day for all of them. They need to show their stuff in the scrimmage for that decision to be made. Now, what I would like to see is if obviously after the scrimmage they can make a decision so that next week they can get some practices in pads full speed. With the number ones with the guy, because obviously when we get into Ball State week, then it becomes more of a game week of practice where they're not going to have 2-hour practices and pads where they're beating the hell out of each other, just a day or two before a game. So it's so I think for the number one quarterback to get good quality reps with the number one offense against Indiana's number ones on defense, for 2 or 3 live practices like that, I think that'd be really good. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if, come Sunday or Monday, we have an announcement.
And speaking of announcements, a little breaking news for you. I talked with Deontay Craig this morning, and he's going to be making his decision known today. Kid out of Culver Academy is a big defensive end that would definitely boost not only the recruiting of Tom Allen, which has gone splendidly well, but man, that would be a spectacular get. This kid is a hell of an athlete. He not only is a defensive lineman, but he's got an standing offer from Archie Miller to walk onto the basketball team at Indiana. Doesn't have that same offer from Iowa, so I don't know if that's could be a deciding factor. He's also got Trey Galloway in his ear, probably because they're teammates on that basketball team. So hopefully that can help sway things for Indiana.
Yep, it's been we've had a lot of good recruiting news with the football guys lately, and I'm sure they'll keep that up. I mean, that is certainly one of those things that's been trending upward here the last couple of years, and I think especially to do that without necessarily great results. Like I said, 5-7 the last 2 years is not where they want to be, but it's they have a good message to sell, and they keep winning a lot of these recruiting battles, and hopefully we'll hear good news from Devontae Craig today. So.
Look forward to that as well. And before I forget, the article on Michael Penix, where can they find that? Where can the fans find that?
That's right there on my Maven Sports Illustrated website. It's Maven Sports, MAVEN Sports.io/Indiana. And it's easy to find. It's also, if you want to find me on Twitter at TomBruceSports.com, it's up there as well. And certainly would like all the IU fans out there who listen to your show, the millions and millions of IU fans who listen to your show every day. If they would follow me on Twitter, I'd love it. And I'm also great about following right back, so we can have conversations and interactions and messages all the time too. I love all of that. So and you can find me on Facebook as well. I do that, Instagram, all of that. It's all right there. And we're going to be doing a whole bunch of Indiana football, obviously, through the year. And of course, we're just we're getting to that point where we're about 6-7 weeks away from talking basketball again, with Big Ten Media Day and Hoosier Hysteria right around the corner early October. So there'll be an enormous amount of basketball on the site too, and a whole lot of really big Sports Illustrated related items to that are about to be announced here right after the 1st of September that I'm really excited about as well. So looking forward to it. It's been a great response so far to the first 2 weeks of the website, and everybody seems to be enjoying what I'm doing, and I certainly am enjoying it myself. It's great to be back in Bloomington and great to be back around IU athletics.
Absolutely. The basketball program, of course, not a lot of news since Trey Galloway's commitment. They've got 2 more open scholarships, but more importantly, they also have an open spot for an assistant coach. We talked a little bit about this last night, but it's been about a month now, and everybody keeps saying, yeah, they don't have to be in a hurry. I understand they don't have to be in a hurry, and it's not about that. But once you get to this length of time, it's like, okay, there's something holding us up, because you don't go that long without having a person in place, because it's not just the recruiting aspect. They're coaching. They have to get in, develop a relationship with the current players on the roster that they're going to be coaching. So sooner now at this stage would absolutely be better. But I think there's obviously something that is holding up getting this accomplished.
Well, probably so. But as we mentioned before, but if I had to guess, I honestly don't know why. But if I had to guess, I think the guy that Archie wants is probably got some contractual thing that needs to expire before they can sign on the dotted line, would be my guess. And I may be wrong, but I think that's the most obvious reason why there might be this long of a delay, because there's, like you said, no reason for a delay. But if there is one, that's probably it, something like that. And because I think if it's not a matter of wanting your guy, then him saying no, and then going to the next guy and him saying no. I don't think it's been that. So it's because there'd be scuttlebutt around there if people were offered a job and they said no. Somebody'd be talking about it, and I don't think that's the case. So I mean, if my guess is he's got his guy, they're just waiting on some contract things, and I would think by September 1st at the latest we'll know something. But I may be wrong, but I would think by September 1st at the latest we'll know something.
Oh, I would definitely think so. Also, Tom's an author and prints his own books as well. But one of the books has been very, very popular. Missing Banners, co-wrote with Terry Hutchins. That book just never seems to go out of style, Tom.
No, it doesn't. We wrote that 3 years ago, Terry and I, and of course, God rest his soul, we missed Terry after losing him last year, and Missing Banners. The Indiana fan base loved that book because we went back and looked at 5 IU basketball seasons where we could have won a national championship but came up a little short, and went back and talked to players and coaches and opponents and relived 1975, 1980, 1992, and 93 together. The 2002 year where we lost in the finals, and then 2013 year under Coach Crean with Cody and Yogi and all them that we were ranked number one in the country, and it came up a little short. And it was just a great read, and I kind of joke that it's a timeless book because there's been absolutely no reason to update it in the last 3 years. We haven't contended since then, but I've written 4 books myself and edited and published 12 others, and of the 16 books I've done, Missing Banners is still my number one best-selling book, and still sells like crazy, and just got a little ding this morning even that sold another one this morning. So people are always buying it, and it's a great read. And if anybody ever wants to read it, it's available in every Indiana bookstore still, and but you can also get it online at Amazon, or you can get it online at Barnes & Noble or your favorite bookstore anywhere in the world. And or you can always reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook as well. If you like an autographed copy, I can get you one of those. It's a great read, and especially with basketball season getting close, if you want to have get some basketball love going for a couple months before the games start, I think if your listeners haven't read it yet, they should. I'm very proud of it, and Terry and I did a great job together, and always honored to have my name with Terry on anything.
And of those years of the Missing Banners, obviously I think 75 has to be without a doubt the glowing, the one that has a spotlight on it more than the others of a championship that wasn't won, that probably should have been won had it not been for that injury. But do you agree with that? But you wrote those books, so is that the case, or do you think it was a different year?
I would say so, because of how close they came. I mean, they never lost a game all year, and then they lose by 2 points to a great Kentucky team without Scott May, and then go undefeated and win the next year. So they went 63-1 in 2 years, and that was just an incredible team. And a lot of people say the 75 team was even better than the 76 team because of Steve Green and John Laskowski and everything. But it was certainly a great team. But what was great about some of the interviews that we did for that, Jim, is that especially like Quinn Buckner, he doesn't give any credence or credit at all to them losing that game with Scott being out, because they really felt like they should have won that game anyway, even without Scott. And they just felt like they didn't play very well. They missed a lot of open shots. Their defense, which was tremendous, they gave up 92 points, and it was just, they didn't play well. And Quinn Buckner was, when I asked him that question about would it have been different if Scott would have played, he interrupted me in the middle of the question, and he said, I won't even talk about that. He said, we should have won that game even without Scott. It's not Scott's not the thing. We should have won that game. And a lot of great interviews in there. And then John Laskowski sort of said the same thing. It's sure, Scott was a great player, and maybe it would have been different, but we still had enough talent to win, and we didn't. And the interviews were great. And and of course, that 92 and 93 group, I mean, I really thought there was a national championship in that, and with either one of those teams at one point. And 92 was just, the loss to Duke was tough in the Final Four, and then 93, that team was so good. Because the Big Ten was just absolutely loaded that year, and Indiana just blew right through it. 17-1 record in the Big Ten, they were crushing everybody. And then Alan Henderson gets hurt and they lose to Kansas in the tournament, and it's like, gosh, I would have loved for one of those two teams to win, mostly, Jim, because that group of guys in those 2 years, they're some of my all-time favorite Indiana basketball players. And I would have loved for them to be able to walk into Assembly Hall all the time now and see one of their banners up. That's what I feel bad for that group.
Yeah, and we have Todd Leary on with us each Friday, right after you, as a matter of fact, a member that's definitely, to me, one of the greatest teams to not win a national championship. I mean, they had everything they needed, and it just didn't go their way. But to me, they're without a doubt, they're just one of the great teams to not win a national championship, especially when you factor in, you got Bob Knight involved and all that. It's a little shocking almost.
Well, it's hard to win a national championship, Jim. There's a lot of luck that's involved with it. And obviously, I've a lot of my really, really good North Carolina friends, who won the '93 title. They swear up and down that if it had been Indiana, North Carolina in the final, they'd have beaten us too. And a lot of the Michigan people, even though the Fab Five teams, Indiana was 3-1 against them during those 2 years. The Michigan teams, they swear that they were better than Indiana. So yes, it would have been nice to win a national championship in '93, but there were plenty of other teams that thought the better of that, including Kansas, which had beaten Indiana during the regular season that year as well. So they've always dismissed the Alan Henderson injury argument themselves, because they beat Indiana in December with Alan Henderson. So so there are at least arguments, but there are arguments every year. I mean, I think the college basketball in the last 30 years. I think every tournament you go into, there's 5 or 10 teams that really do think they have a legitimate chance to win the title. So every time they don't, that's one that's missed. And but my goal on it, Jim, is I just sure hope sometime soon we get to see another Indiana team make a run like that, to challenge for it, because I would dearly love to update that book with another year here at some point.
Absolutely. Of course, the first thing they have to do is get back to the NCAA tournament, which they've not been able to do for the last couple of years.
It's going to take a little time, maybe, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully it'll happen. There's a lot of positives to what's going on lately, and we just need a whole lot more.
Absolutely. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven. Make sure you check out his article on Michael Penix. Also, if you need a book you need to read, Missing Banners is a good one. Good place to start. Tom, thank you, sir. Look forward to see you out at football practice. Hope you have a great day, man.
I'm sitting in the parking lot right now, Jim, ready to go.
All right, I'm behind. All right, man. Tom Brew join us. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Right.
We've got a lot
Jim.
more coming up here on the Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Stay tuned. Back right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, the only daily Indiana show focusing on IU that there is. Welcome to it. Been here for a couple of years now. You know, we're got to figure out, Jake, but I think sometime in November we're on a collision course with episode number 500. Pretty nice little milestone. Looking forward to that. On the program today, Mike Schuman from the Daily Hoosier is going to be with us, talk some IU basketball and IU football. We're going to hear from famed defensive coordinator Dave Womack. He spent a lot of years in the SEC at a very high level. Of course, his son, Kane Womack, is the defensive coordinator for Indiana, youngest in the Big Ten. You might hear from him as well. See what all we can squeeze in. We got a lot of people to hear from. Michael Penix is one of those. He's one of those that's in the battle for the starting quarterback position for Indiana, and a decision that I think will come Thursday. And that's not inside information. That's just a guess that I'm formulated because Monday's practice usually happens after, or the media availability with Coach Allen usually happens after practice on Monday. So I think that they may want to get out in front of that a little bit. On top of that, they're going to be. The IU football program will be up at Lucas Oil Stadium on Thursday as they use that, which I'm surprised they do it this week instead of the week of the game. Just a little surprising to me that they wouldn't do it the following Thursday. But regardless, I think that announcement might come this Thursday. We will get to speak with Coach Allen today, but you never know. He could surprise us and give it to us today because the preseason game 2 happened over the weekend. I don't have much information on that because we weren't allowed to go. But one comment that I did get that a coach told a former player was that their defensive backs and linebacker secondary is giving their quarterbacks fits, which is a good sign. Because, you know, I've talked about them being one of the top secondaries. I posted something the other day. But one of the top secondaries in the Big Ten and maybe the country for all that. But it's going to go huge into helping Indiana protect that defense because the defensive line, I'm not going to say it's suspect, but that's where the question mark lies. They got a lot of youth, some inexperience there. But as those guys try to get old quick, having a secondary and linebacker core like they do, and if that's true that they're causing that much problems, that's good because you've got a team like Michigan who has altered their offense this year. They're going to more of a spread offense. So they'll be getting tested undoubtedly. But Michael Penix is one of the guys that we spoke to recently, and let's hear what Michael had to say.
It's been a huge progression, because, especially with the O-line, you need them blocking. You got to make sure you're in the right protection all the time or you're going to get hit. So that's one thing he stressed on us a lot. We can't make a play happen if we're getting sacked. So that's one thing we always focus on in the meeting rooms. All three of us, we push each other to make sure that we're great at that spot.
How do you evaluate how you've performed the first 2 weeks of camp?
I feel like it's been going real good. I've been real consistent, just helping lead the team, make sure we're always in good situations, don't make a bad situation worse. Every single day I'm just working my tail off to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that we stay consistent.
Is there any residual with the knee for you? Do you feel it at all? Do you think about it at all? Can you kind of play without even worrying about it?
No, I play without even worrying about it. I'm 100%, ready to go full go.
What do you think versus a year ago you're doing a lot better?
A lot better leading vocally. I become a more vocal leader, pushing the team every single day to come out, compete, do their best, and, just give it all out for the team.
seem real comfortable in knowing what's supposed to be done by everybody on every play. And from that leadership standpoint, I've seen a few times where you've been able to get on receivers a little bit for breaking the wrong way or running the wrong route. Is that you feel comfortable with that now to make sure you can stand up and say what you need to say?
Yes, sir.
To get better?
Very comfortable. That comes with, some experience from last year. Got to play. That comes with just meeting every single day, working together. We have officer meetings, so we're all on each other, make sure we're pushing each other to be the best offense in the Big Ten and in the country.
Does the competition bring that out in you at all? Like knowing I have to be a vocal leader if I want to be able to lead this football?
Yeah, always, it's football is a competitive sport. It's always, everything is around competition. Just being a vocal leader, that's the thing that you need on your team. Every single team, you need a vocal leader. If you don't have that, then you can't just always depend on the coaches to step up. You need each other. You need to push each other to do better every single day.
Obviously, all three guys are fighting for the starting job. From this point forward, what do you think you have to do to get that number one spot?
Just focus on my game. Just continue to work hard, do what's best for the team. That's all.
That was Michael Penix talking about a lot of different things he touched on there. Talked about his leadership capabilities, talked about his progression, talked about working with the O-line, talking about being a leader, more importantly. And he's I think he's the guy that's going to get the nod, but we'll see. That's just what I think. I think that, if you go by the fans, boy, anytime I post something, there's always someone that cracks, Penix better start, Penix better start. Well, part of that's based on last year, obviously, and we've seen Peyton Ramsey over 2 years, but one caveat to that I will give him is that we also saw him under Mike DeBoring, an offense that was just vanilla, predictable, uninspired. Got a new offensive coordinator in there with Kalen DeBoer, and that's going to make a huge difference, not just in the offense, but I think for Peyton Ramsey as well. But with that said, Michael Penix is the guy that has the tools. He has more tools. He has more capabilities. He basically has a higher ceiling. He may have a slightly lower basement, which means he may be prone to make a few more mistakes. But with having the higher ceiling, you've got to see a difference between last year and this year in the offense. Instead of those 3 games they lost by a touchdown or less, they've got to be able to come up with those points. Red zone efficiency was not good at all. As far as touchdowns to field goals, way too many field goals, not enough touchdowns. Again, you lose 3 games by a touchdown or less. You really look at how many points did we leave on the table? How many points were left on the field? When you've got to get the ball into the end zone, and when you factor all of that in, and you look at your future of your program. Of course, they don't care about next year right now. They care about right now, which is what they should. But even with that, there's just no doubt to me, and I'm not alone in thinking this, but Michael Penix is just the guy that if you want to pick it up, if you want to add that little something extra, which is what they need, something extra. I hate to harp on the same thing with the 3 losses last year, but if you take away those 3 losses by a touchdown or less or turn them into wins, that's an 8-win season for a very, very mediocre team. Because no matter what, that team was very mediocre offensively. They were efficient, but part of the reason they were so efficient is because they were so conservative. They didn't take risks. They weren't able to take risks. They didn't take a lot of throws downfield. Still had a lot of interceptions, 13 to 19 touchdowns. Not quite a great ratio. So there's got to be some changes there. Text into the show from Tim. Caleb Love will visit during the Ohio State game. Also, Jordan Geronimo will visit that same weekend. Yep, that's what we talked about earlier. He also talked about Dexter Williams, the quarterback, coming in next year to add to the quarterback room. They say he's pretty good, selected to play in the Blue-Gray All-Star game in January. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, that's the funny thing is they may have this battle all over again next year, which I don't think that unless this kid is, off the charts crazy good, he's going to be the fourth man in a three-man rotation, but in a three-man room involving a fourth-year Peyton Ramsey and with Michael Penix and Jack Tuttle. Wow. You think that room is crowded now? Wait till next year. Of course, they're getting to the point now where they can, that first year, they don't have to worry about rushing somebody. Like last year, Michael Penix needing to be interjected as a true freshman because they didn't have anything else. They don't have that problem. That's one of the great things about what Tom Allen has done for this program is add depth. And when you add depth at a position like quarterback, it's huge. You've got to have that. I mean, I saw it happen when Nate Sudfeld went down against Iowa in, I think, 2016. And, the backup quarterback, I can't even remember who it was, he went down. So then you got Xander Diamont, the third guy, and then would have to finish the year. So depth is an all-important thing, but it's not just a quarterback across the board, of course. But they're certainly going to have that at quarterback, and we'll look forward to seeing who that announcement's going to be. The Fowl Golf Course was dedicated last Friday. Lots of luminaries there, man. Lots of people to see. We'll hear in the next hour. We'll hear from Indiana coach Mike Mayer. He's been Indiana's golf coach for 22 years. Angelo Pizzo was there as well. We talked to Angelo, great friend of the show. Looking forward to hearing from him on this thing. But it's an absolutely beautiful course, man. Indiana they've gone from the outhouse to the penthouse as far as golf courses go. And I say that because this is what everybody there said the other day, from the president of Indiana down, the athletics director, the coach. They all talked about how terrible that golf course was. I mean, it was basically like a little municipal golf course that wasn't taking that great of care of. But now, with the help of Fuzzy Zeller, they have a championship caliber course that is going to be very difficult to play. And I'm looking forward to it. I didn't see a lot of it out there. Didn't go out on the course, but from the back of the clubhouse, which is very nice, it looked extraordinarily very, very cool. I saw a lot of Alan Henderson was out there. Talked to him for a little bit. Fuzzy Zeller was there as well. Talked to Fuzzy. But it was a kind of a big deal. Pretty big, really big deal. Ned Fowl, of course, one of the great donors to Indiana University. He's given lots over the years. He has a grandson that's a senior on the golf club, Jack Sparrow. Didn't know that. Learn something new every day. But we got plenty coming up here on the program with Dave Womack. He's been a defensive coordinator in the SEC for a long time. He's retired now, but a long time defensive coordinator. Of course, Tom Allen coached with him. His son, Dave Womack, who's now Indiana's defensive coordinator, of course, learned to him. We hear some funny stories about that. Caleb Love visit set September 13th through the 15th. We talked about that earlier. Jordan Geronimo also coming on the 30th, as that text from Tim alluded to. That's the weekend. That's actually the weekend of the Ball State game. Caleb Love is the weekend of Ohio State, I believe. It's the September 14th game. So then we're waiting to hear from Blake Wesley. Of course, he's the kid out of South Bend, went to the same South Bend Riley High School where Demezy Anderson is from. Can Indiana pull in another? I know that Demezy Anderson has probably helped doing some recruiting there. Matthew Cross, waiting for his decision. Where's he going to go? I've thought it was IU all along, and I don't know that that's changed, but I know he took some extra visits down to, I think, Miami and possibly Florida. And the new coach for Indiana basketball, who's that going to be? We're still waiting to see who that guy is going to be. I know it's probably more so a recruiting position, but there's also coaching going on. So I'm surprised they're not – this is a little long. I know everybody keeps saying they don't need to be in a rush. It's not about what they need. It's after 2 months. That's a long time, man. They've saved enough money there. But I would think that they'd want to get involved in the coaching as soon as possible, making those relationships with the players and whatnot. We got a lot more coming up on the program. Mike Schuman from the Daily Hoosier is going to join us next. We'll hear from former Coach Dave Womack, in addition to Mike Myron, Indiana's golf coach, and Angelo Pizzo as well. Stay tuned. We got tons more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Monday, August 19th. On the program today, Mike Schuman from the Daily Hoosier is going to join us. We'll hear from longtime defensive coordinator Dave Womack. In addition, Indiana golf coach Mike Mayer and Angelo Pizzo, as the new foul golf course at Indiana University was dedicated last Friday. Lots of luminaries out there, including Mr. Ned Fowl himself. Saw Alan Henderson out there. Fuzzy Zeller was there. So it was a very, very nice event. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful, beautiful golf course, as Indiana now has a championship caliber golf course, as they're trying to make this one of the best courses in the state. And that says a lot. There are some nice courses out there. So we'll look forward to hearing from all those guys. Caleb Love on the Indiana basketball front. Caleb Love sets his visit. He's going to go take visits to Missouri, to North Carolina, to Louisville, to Kansas. He's got Arizona listed in his top 6. Only 5 official visits. One of those goes to Indiana. That's on the weekend of September 13th through the 15th. That is the Ohio State weekend, as Tim pointed out in a text earlier. Appreciate that. That's right. Jordan Geronimo visiting on the weekend of the 30th. Now, that's the weekend of the Ball State football game, but that's up in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. I'm not sure if they will take him up there for that. I doubt it. Lost time off of campus. Not sure. It's an interesting thing. So we'll see. I don't know what they'll do with that, but they'll probably spend their time on campus in Bloomington, but who knows? Waiting to hear from Blake Wesley from that 2021 class. He's a South Bend Riley high school baller. Same place Demezy Anderson's from, so he's doing a little recruiting. See how that works out. Matthew Cross is someone else we're waiting on a decision where he's going to go. I think that's a decision that could come just at any day. He's made his visits, and he was I really have long thought that he was going to be that third guy they get, and that would be the first in this run that Archie's been able to get outside of the state of Indiana. I mean, I know a lot is made of him getting all these Indiana kids, which is nice to a degree, but that's tempered somewhat because they have not landed a single person outside of the state that they've offered. That's like, I don't know, 20-something offers, 0 for 20-something. So you gotta see it from a realistic point of view. But regardless, he's someone I think that could be that guy that they get, a nice shooter, a wing shooter. He's taking visits down south to Miami and to Florida. So we'll see where that is. IU basketball coach, assistant coach, waiting to be named as well. I kind of stopped saying any day now a month ago, because a month ago I thought it was going to be any day now, and still haven't no word yet. I would say any day now, just because it has to be at some point. At some point, you got to be right? It's been 2 months, but I really am surprised that it's gone this long. I know you want to get a guy in there to start developing those relationships from a coaching standpoint. A big part of his job is going to be recruiting, but there's also going to be coaching, and you've got to develop those relationships because guys like Demezy Anderson, who's also recruiting, they talk about the coaches. They talk about what it's like. So you want those relationships there. The Colts are progressing through a training camp without much luck. They don't have any luck. Not in the form of Andrew, at least. But Jacoby Brissett apparently looked pretty good in their preseason game this weekend. I believe the Colts lost that game, but it doesn't matter. I don't even know why they keep scoring preseason games. Some sad news from the sports world. Jack Whitaker, a longtime television presence, he passed away at the age of 95. Remember listening to him, man, one of those solid voices. Also, Cedric Benson, man, former Texas running back. High school phenomenon down there in Texas, rushed for over 8,500 yards in high school, and was a great running back in Texas before being taken number 4 in the NFL draft by the Chicago Bears. Sad to see that. Funniest picture of the weekend easily, Trey Galloway. He had a picture out in front of his house with a laundry basket. On top of it was a pile of shirts and the sign that says free Purdue shirts. So if you in the market, there you go. You have to travel up to Culver. Indiana football continues today. They lost out on Deontay Craig last week as he came down to Indiana and Iowa, but unfortunately chose Iowa. A little bit of a surprise. I really thought that Indiana was going to get that kid with the momentum that Tom Allen has had in the recruiting. It was really everything was going that way with the fact that Trey Galloway was coming to IU, his teammate on the basketball team, on the state champion basketball team, and he had been offered the ability to walk on the IU basketball team, an offer he did not have from Iowa, but he surprised a lot of people. I think even some family members by deciding to go to Iowa City with the Iowa Hawkeyes, but it's not like it's a bad decision. Coach Ferentz is absolutely phenomenal coach. Great run there at Iowa. I think he may be in his 18th season, something like that. I'm not sure how long it's been, but wish the kid luck. And then tonight, San Francisco, Denver, a little Monday night preseason football. Which the only good thing about that is you don't have to worry about staying up to midnight because all you need to do is watch the first quarter and it's over. So there's that for you. As mentioned earlier, that the new foul course at Indiana University, the golf course, was dedicated over the weekend. It's not open to the public yet. That won't happen until the spring. It's complete, but now it has to grow its hair, man. It's got to grow those roots deep down So when it gets pounded on here next year, it can withstand that. So the course is done, but they are just now letting everything come into place, letting it get through the fall and then up through the spring growing season before they cut the hackers loose on that thing. But we'll look forward to that. But did have the opportunity to talk to a 22-year Indiana head man, Mike Mayer, about it at that event. So let's hear what Coach Mike Mayer had to say.
Coach, a huge day, not just for Indiana University, but for Indiana golf especially. What a beautiful new course this thing is.
Now, outstanding. And with the help of a lot of people, we have built what I think will be not only one of the best golf courses in the Big Ten, but one of the best golf courses in the country. It is that good. So the opportunities it presents to us, everything we can do with our student athletes, everything we can do with competitive events, both amateur, professional, on a local, regional, national level, it's going to be a great journey.
You've been here for a long time. You've seen a lot of things come and go. Talk about the importance and the impact this will have going forward.
Facility-wise, it's all facilities now. When we bring in players, when we recruit players to come to Indiana University, the first thing they want to see, what are your facilities? Where can we develop? What do you have? What resources do you have to help us develop? And with our old golf course, we couldn't give them much from that aspect. But now this changes the game. It's a game changer. We already see it in our 2020 recruiting, and in the future, it's going to change the level of recruit we were able to go after.
And having a facility like this, how is this going to impact the team itself and their hopefully future success?
Well, we're all about development, but we have to have someplace we can develop and get ready to compete against the best in the world. And having a facility like this that's going to challenge our players, I think this is not only going to be one of the best golf courses in the country, it's going to be one of the more difficult golf courses in the country, which is all the better for my team. Because these guys hit the ball a million miles like all these young guys can. But when we go to a different golf course, we're never going to say, I don't think, well, this golf course is more difficult than what we play every day. So we're going to be able to challenge them in that regard. So they're playing a golf course that's going to be as equally hard or harder than any course they're playing. So they're going to be ready for those challenges.
Standing here, you can see the beauty, but what are some of the subtle differences, the things that make this course stand out, make it different, make it challenging?
It's a big golf course. And the length of the golf course, number one, 7,900 yards from the back. The terrain, the topography is outstanding. They really moved minimal dirt to build this golf course. This topography was here. 146, 147 bunkers. It will be a very demanding driving golf course. So that's when Steve Smyers designed it. It's one of his point of emphasis. These kids bomb the ball, 300, 320. They can do that here, but if they don't hit it straight, the length is not going to pay off. So I think it's really going to be a thinking man's golf course. Even though it's a long golf course, it's not a bomber's golf course. So I really think one of the keys on this golf course is you have to drive the ball in the field.
You talk about it, Mr. Smyers. What led you guys to choosing him to be the person that was the lead architect on this?
I truthfully think from so many aspects he's a perfect fit for Indiana University. Number one, he worked well with Fuzzy Zeller. We wanted somebody who could do that. Environmentally, he met every one of the benchmarks we were looking for environmentally, and that's a key part of what we're doing here. With the grasses he has, we think he built a course that can be very sustainable, very eco-friendly, and it's a great fit. Steve Smyers is outstanding. Florida State grad, but now I think he's a Hoosier.
And talk about Fuzzy Zeller, his involvement also. He's been very active and involved, supporter of IU athletics, but now he's really getting involved with this course. Talk about what he's added to this.
Well, we've been fortunate. Our team has known Fuzzy for a long time. We played with him periodically in Naples in his winter home. University of Houston grad, but another great Hoosier. He added his own little element to this golf course, his own little design components, his consulting. Obviously, he's helped with the construction of a number of golf courses. A major champion, a U.S. Open champion, a Masters champion. He knows golf, and to have him kind of mixed with Steve, and you could hear their banter back and forth about what they were doing. Wow, it was a great combo.
Coach, I can't thank you enough. We appreciate you. The best of luck.
Thank you.
Go back, it was Indiana, longtime Indiana coach Mike Mayer talking about the new golf course, man. It's awesome. It's beautiful. But also out there was Angelo Pizzo. You know Angelo, of course, the creator of Hoosiers, but also a member of the IU Varsity Club Board of Trustees and just a longtime IU supporter and a golf aficionado himself. Let's hear what Angelo had to say.
Angelo, your appreciation for golf is totally different than a lot of us. Talk about your experiences with your son and the things you get to do.
Yeah, I lived in California, and I played all the great golf courses out there, all the Monterey golf courses, and Palm Springs and San Diego and LA courses as well. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best golf courses I've ever seen. We've had, my sense is that you could, and what I've heard, you can have had a PGA event here. It's world class.
What makes it so well? You've spent a lot of time on some of the top courses around. What makes it stand out?
I think one of the things that makes a course unique is how each one of the holes is different from the other. So you can remember back on hole whatever, it was that hole that you could identify by a number of different things. That's what makes a course like Pebble Beach so unique. Every single hole is so different from the other. The second thing about this course is it can be played as easier and hardest as possible. So from the very back tees, it would be what they call a slope, a rating of around 80, which means it's literally, you shot par golf, shooting, if you had a 71, if you had a 0 handicap, and you shot an 80, you'd be even par. That's from 8,000 yards, the back tees. Yet the front tees are very doable, and it's a very playable course from the up tees. There'll be probably 6 or 7 different sets of tees. But this is a great course for amateurs, for professionals, and from everybody in between.
What does it mean having a course like this for IU, for the school, for the teams, for the university itself?
Well, I can tell you a number of different cases where I knew kids where my son played with who wouldn't come to Indiana because their golf course was so terrible. I mean, it killed recruiting. And then, alumni events. People come and they want to get together. Everybody laughed at the course. It was rated at one time, out of 14 Big Ten teams, it was rated last. So it was not a black eye, it was an embarrassment. But now you have maybe the best course in the Big Ten. Not only is it a great recruiting tool, but it's a great place to have events for alumni to get together. And it's just it's another star in the cap of the facilities improvement here on campus.
And having somebody like Fuzzy Zeller involved is great in and of itself, but he's really was involved in helping to redesign this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a combination of the relationship between Ned Fow and Fuzzy and ultimately Steve Smyers. It's a great team, and they've had a lot of passion behind this, and they've been thinking about this for a long time. One of the things that was, they did have an advantage, and one of the other things that I would add about why this course is special is the topography. It's not a flat course, it's not an ultra-hilly course, it's in between. So it has all of the rolling hills of southern Indiana, and it was a great kind of canvas in which to paint. That's how Steve Smyers, the designer, and that's what Fuzzy saw in it too. What a great piece of property without a proper course on it, but now they have that.
I know you've been working hard on a new project. You were on the show not too long ago. How's that going for you?
It's going great. We have it in the hands of some people who get it done. It's just waiting for them to finally pull the trigger. And that wait can be a long time. We had Hoosiers in the hands of people who could pull the trigger, and it took 3 years to get it made. So it takes a right combination of things falling into place. A lot of moving parts in getting a movie made, but I'm very optimistic.
Appreciate you joining us, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have a great round when you get to play.
I can't wait.
There's Angelo Pizzo, the creator of Hoosiers, also a member of the IU Board of Trustees. good friend out at the golf course. Got to hear about that. So good. Always great talking to Angelo and guys. But we got a lot coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Mike Schuman from the Daily Hoosier is going to join me next. We're talking about some IU basketball and football. Stay tuned. We're back with more. And before I forget, shout out to WBRO 89.9 down in Perry County, man. Thanks a lot. We're looking forward to being part of that Southern Indiana crowd down there. Hope you guys, we're so happy to have you with us. And make sure you hit the text line up, guys, if whatever. And it doesn't matter if can't get to it that day, I'll get to it the next day, 812-269-6367. But welcome on board WBRO 89.9 in Perry County. But we got a lot more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with Mike Schuman right after this.
This love will never fade away. Oh, because you are the best thing.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you, as always, here on Indiana Sports Radio, the only IU radio, daily radio show. Covers nothing but IU, man. That's it. We're the only one. Shout out to WBRO 89.9 down in Perry County. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to, glad to be a part of you guys and bringing IU coverage, complete coverage to you. So thanks a lot. Looking forward to that in addition to the REF, WREF 97.7 down in Evansville. In addition to that, Mike Schuman now joins us from the Daily Hoosier. Michael, how is your weekend?
Oh, it was pretty good. How about yours?
Great. I didn't do anything. I was just a lazy bum. We didn't have anything to have to cover. And so, yeah, that was it. Very exciting. Nothing.
Congratulations. It'll be your last do-nothing weekend for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah. That begins today. It just starts to kick off. Things are really picking up. And it's not just IU football and IU basketball. We've got so much going on with volleyball. They're expecting to have an incredible year this year. They've got this Cream and Crimson scrimmage coming up this Saturday with Coach Steve Aird, invigorating a lot of new life into that. You just had the golf course dedication on Friday. What a beautiful championship caliber course they're going to have, man. I cannot wait to play that thing.
Yeah, it's been about 25 years since I played it. It used to be my favorite course, and I can't wait to see what they've done.
Well, from all the comments of the people there, I'm surprised it was your favorite course because they talked about how horrible it was. It's been so long since I played that course, I can't remember. It was when I was in college, but I can't remember how bad it was, if it was that bad. But apparently it is like championship caliber now, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was, it was all perspective when I was a college student. What qualified as a nice course, I'm sure was, it was all relative.
Well, on the basketball front, we've got a couple of things. We're still waiting to hear who the next assistant coach is going to be. Not that that's a major thing, but the fact that it's gone close to 2 months now, that's a bit surprising to me. I know everybody keeps saying, oh, they don't have to be in a hurry. I'm like, well, that's not the point. When you go this long, it's not that you don't have to be in a hurry because there's something that's preventing that to happen at this stage, is my guess.
Yeah, it could be. I want to refrain from judgment until we see who it is. If it's somebody that leaves you scratching your head, like, how did we end up with this guy after 2 months? Then I would definitely be in that camp of, something didn't go right here. But, it could be that they've had the guy lined up for weeks and just really felt no reason to make the announcement, or in fact, the opposite, had good reasons to not make the announcement. So, I'll refrain from judgment, but I think I believe that that's going to come out here in the next week or two.
I'm not judging. I'm saying there is a reason why it hasn't happened, whether that is this person that they've got the guy that they want and they have to wait till September 1st or whatever the case may be there. But there's something at this, when it goes this long, there's more than, oh, we don't have to be in a rush kind of a thing. I think there's a reason that hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it's something bad, but there's definitely, I think, something that, it's kind of a long time. So I think that, like I said, it's either a contractual thing or whatever the case may be, but just looking forward to see who that's going to be and what they can add to the program.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see, to try to piece it together and make assumptions on how they can add value immediately. I definitely think this is going to be a recruiting oriented hire. And so whoever it is, if it's a geography or, certain relationships, it'll be interesting to try to piece together how that can help, even as soon as in the class of 2020 that still has 2 openings left.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that 2 scholarships available still. You got Caleb Love coming in on a visit for the weekend of the Ohio State football game. He's also got visits scheduled to Missouri, North Carolina, Louisville, Kansas, and Arizona's in his top 6. I'm not sure that they're getting a visit, but Indiana gets it the weekend of the 13th through the 15th. I'm not sure that Indiana is high on that. I'm not sure that they're in the top 2 on this kid's list. We'll see. But Matt, what do you think the chances are?
I think it's better than a puncher's chance. Anytime you see a list of schools like you said, North Carolina, Louisville, Kansas, you're in for a battle, to say the least. But obviously those schools are recruiting other guys as well, and sometimes the dominoes start falling. I think Indiana's been on Love for a long time, and he has said that he's has a really good relationship and he's impressed, and so. They say
that about all the guys. They're like, they just come up with other nice things to say. They're not going to, we'll see. But there's some other people like Jordan Geronimo also coming that I think they have a better chance with. He'll be visiting the weekend of August 30th. And I think he's a point guard anyway, isn't he? Geronimo?
No, he's more of a wing. He's a 6'6" guy, more of a slasher, a wing, really good athlete. I think, him and Cross are interesting because, you already got a 6'4" Galway, 6'5" Leal in your class. Are you going to take a 6'6" Geronimo and a 6'7" Cross? I think you got to start looking out more to the, to a primary ball handler and maybe to a big in this class rather than
Why have
so
they
much.
not been able to get a point guard? He's been trying for 2 years to land a point guard without success.
Yeah, and obviously he's laser focused on Christian Lander in 2021, but I would be nervous about a 2020 roster that obviously loses Devontae Green, and really your only primary ball handler, unless someone really develops the skill, is going to be Fennessy. And so I've said for a long time, and I continue to believe that they should get somebody in the 2020 class that is a primary ball handler, if nothing else, just to spell Fennessy for the the 8 minutes he's going to need, and then they can play off the ball the rest of the time. But they don't really have anybody in that spot right now.
Another name mentioned a lot here of late, especially Blake Wesley from South Bend Riley, the same place Demezy Anderson came from. That's a kid who shows a lot of promise, and that Demezy Anderson's in his ear.
Yeah, I spoke with Blake's dad last week and published an article yesterday on him if people want to read about his recruitment. I think he's a really interesting kid that's been under the radar here, at least as a sophomore in the stacked 2021 in-state class that we've talked about. But part of that was because he broke his wrist going into his sophomore season at Riley, and he also was playing on a team that had 9 seniors, and he was the only underclassman starting on that team. So I think he's a guy that's really gonna explode as an upperclassman. He got a wave of like 5 offers in 48 hours here a few weeks ago, so people are starting to recognize him more regionally. And I think, in talking to his dad, he's a kid that's going to end up being 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan that can play point guard. So really a versatile skill set that I think is going to be really intriguing for Indiana to stay on top of.
We'll certainly keep up with that, and of course the new assistant coach, whenever he is named, we'll have that. But I've got to think that's got to be coming here very, very soon.
Yeah, I think this week, next week, lots of news coming up here. I think in the next week or two, I think the schedule probably comes out. The complete 2019-20 schedule comes out. IU football, we're probably going to have a quarterback announcement. So, after your kind of quiet weekend, I think it all heats up here and starting this week, and I think there's going to be a lot to do and a lot to cover and talk about.
It all goes to hell in a handbasket soon, man. You talk about that quarterback issue. I was talking about that earlier. I think that we could possibly see that announcement come Thursday. They're going to be up at Lucas Oil Stadium with a walkthrough. Nothing. Well, we're allowed to be there for 30 minutes, but that would not surprise me as the perfect timing because it has to come the following Monday at the latest. And generally we meet with Coach Allen after practice, so that would be even later. So I'm thinking Thursday, maybe because of the venue and the timing, they're talking about that game. That may be the time that they make that announcement of who the starter is.
Yeah, I've got to believe you're right on that. I would be stunned if it goes any further, and unless they're as perplexed as I am about who the right answer is. I mean, I know you've been there watching them. I've been there watching them. None of them just jump off the table at me, which is troubling, but at the same time, somewhat good in the sense that I think they do have 3 guys that can play at this level, but I don't think they have anybody that's a clear leader or elite at this level right now. And so, maybe they know by now after the scrimmage over the weekend, and they can get it out of the way, maybe even as soon as today. But I agree with you. If it goes beyond Thursday, then I'm concerned that, they're really not sure which direction to go.
Well, a couple things. To me, it's a 2-man race. It's Michael Penix and Peyton Ramsey. Tuttle is just behind us all. No, it's not a knock on his abilities because they're great. But I think this is a 2-man race right now. And with that 2-man race, if Peyton Ramsey, the incumbent starter, was that clear, he would have already been named.
I think it's going to end up being Penix for a number of reasons. That's one of them. I think I've talked about earlier on the show that Penix has a higher ceiling. He can do things that they have not had the capabilities of doing the last couple of years. Now, the only caveat to that I mentioned is the fact that we've seen Peyton Ramsey under Mike DeBoring, a very vanilla, predictable, unimaginative offense. That's not going to be the case with Kalen DeBoer. He's going to shake things up a little bit, and I think things are going to come a little more rapid fire. So that helps Peyton Ramsey's cause, I think, a little bit. But at the end of the day, the one knock on him has been his inability to get the ball downfield, and that has been one of Penix's strength, his arm strength.
Yeah, and I know Ramsey won the job at this time last year after some scrimmages where he really took care of the ball and moved the ball down the field. But, if you actually look at his numbers from last year, that while he did move the ball and he was efficient, he also threw 13 interceptions. And so I think if the coaching staff is going to give Penix a chance, that might be part of the reason why, is because in actual game settings, Ramsey wasn't real clean with the ball a lot of the time. I believe that number of 13 interceptions was like sixth worst in Division I. And so, ball security didn't necessarily play out during the season. The one thing I keep going back to with Penix, and I could be wrong about this, and, I've talked to others that didn't necessarily agree with me who've been watching camp, but when I watch him play, I just don't see a guy that appears to be fully comfortable yet. Coming back from injury, I see some hesitancy. I see some uncomfortableness when the pocket collapses on him. And it just, to me, is speculating that he's still feeling some rust. He's still only, 10 months out from a major knee surgery. And I just question whether or not the staff's going to feel comfortable about putting him in these first two games versus maybe giving him a little bit more time and maybe plugging him in a little bit down the road, as they have done over the last couple of years. They've made mid-season quarterback changes each of the last 2 years. So it could be a situation where they go with the guy they know and the more, familiar, reliable hand to get these first two wins. And then if it doesn't go exactly how they plan, then maybe plug somebody in down the road.
Yeah, I don't see that, but that could very well be the case. When you talk to him, of course, he says he feels great, and I think he looks pretty good. So I've seen him do some running, so I think he's there, but we'll certainly find out. We'll see when that decision comes on Thursday, if that decision comes on Thursday. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but and then of course the scrimmage. There was a scrimmage, or not scrimmage, but a preseason game 2 occurred over the weekend. We weren't allowed to be there, but I didn't get a lot. I haven't heard a lot from that. One thing I did hear was that one of the coaches said that their defensive backs are giving the quarterbacks hell, which is a good sign for IU's defense, because they're going to need as solid as unit possible, because the question mark for this entire team, to me, is coming at the defensive line, not because they don't have talent, but just because it's inexperience, and they're going to be rotating a lot of guys in that are young, but that's going to be the linchpin for them, I think. The secondary they could be the best secondary in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree with both sides of that. I think the D-line is the question mark. Coach Allen has said that repeatedly. I think they've got some size, but it's a very young size, very inexperienced size. But I have seen, at least in camp, that some guys like DeMarcus Elliott and Jerome Johnson that, are at least challenging the offensive line and not getting pushed around. So, how that translates to the highest levels of Big Ten play is a completely different question. And that segues into, if your D-line isn't holding up, if they're getting pushed around, that's going to stress your entire back seven. And so that'll be the question is, I completely agree that the DBs are standing out as the strength of this team, especially from a depth perspective. It's going to be interesting when they come out with the depth chart, exactly how that plays out, because I don't feel like I have a real good read on a couple of those spots. But I think, if the D-line doesn't hold up for those guys and puts a lot of pressure on the back seven, I don't know how good they're going to end up looking, but that's one of the bigger questions and things to watch.
And I think one of the things that's going to make the quarterback decision a little easier is the fact that they have such a great receivers room and an incredibly great running backs room, which will take some pressure off of that spot. And I think that also will help Michael Penix because it does take pressure off of that with the likes of Stevie Scott and the cadre of talent he's got behind him. This could be a breakout season for this offense if the quarterback, they've got to have the right guy, the guy that can do the things that they need to do. And if he can do that, this could be a prolific offense.
Yeah, it could be. And I'd even throw in the O-line that, Caleb Jones and Harry Kreider are guys that Coach DeBoer has said are standing out as making strides, and those are probably the two biggest guys that needed to take a step up because the rest of the O-line are seniors, experienced guys. And so at least from the starting perspective, I think the O-line could be a strength of this team too. And I guess we just may not know until the Ohio State game if the right choice was made at quarterback, because I think any of those guys is probably going to look good, probably make big plays, and the athletes on Indiana's offense are probably going to make the offense look better than it is. But who's going to be able to make the tight throws, and really make the defense work against a team like Ohio State or Michigan? That, as everybody knows, those are the real questions when it comes to Indiana football. So it might be a few weeks before we really know if the right choice was made.
Well, I can tell you there's going to be a ton of buzz and excitement. As long as they can get through the first two non-conference games, which of course there's no reason to think that they won't. If they don't, they've got bigger problems. But when they do that and they're 2-0, and you've got an Ohio State team coming in that they're starting to, that will create a huge amount of buzz for that game. It's going to be, it's going to be sold out. Ohio State, they'll bring tons of people over to fill that stand, to fill the stadium. This will be probably the first time since everything's been completed. That thing is full. It's going to be a spectacular environment. But there's a lot of people, and depending upon how these first games go and who the quarterback is, they may have a shot at beating Ohio State for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, and I know the last two times Ohio State's come to Bloomington, it's been similar. I believe in 2015 that Indiana was 3-0. There was chatter about even ESPN Game Day coming. As we've seen historically, a good game. IU couldn't pull it out. Again in 2017, it was the game that opened the season. You remember Richard Lego had a huge first half, and Indiana, I believe, had the lead at halftime but couldn't pull it out. It's probably going to be very similar along those lines. A lot of hype, a lot of thinking, maybe Indiana can do it, but it's the same old story. Can they do it is different than actually getting it done.
That's right, and we'll certainly see, but that's a ways off. We've got another 2 weeks to get through before the opening season kickoff takes place on August 31st up in Lucas Oil Stadium against the Ball State Cardinals, who they certainly would like to think they have something to say about that. Yeah, and they gave Notre Dame a good game last year. They didn't look all that great against IU when they came down to Bloomington, but I think Mike New's a respected coach up there, and I think they'll definitely give IU a fight. I mean, I don't remember the exact years and scores, but I can think of 3 games off the top of my head where Ball State has beaten Indiana in the last decade. And so if anybody's taking that game lightly, it's a mistake. 3 touchdowns, baby. I say IU wins by 3 touchdowns, and I don't throw out big points usually, but I am just, I don't know if this offense can get rolling right off the bat, but I'm just bullish on this offense. I'm bullish because Kalen DeBoer is behind it, and they're better in so many areas. But I'm expecting big offensive numbers, man.
I think you could be right, but I'm not gonna speculate too much until I see a quarterback actually on the field, making plays, and then we can go from there. But I think they have the right kind of schedule in the first 2 games to get things rolling for sure.
Well, appreciate it. Check him out at the Daily Hoosier, free IU content. Mike Schuman, appreciate you, brother.
All right, Jim. Have a great week.
You as well. That's Mike Schuman, of course, of the Daily Hoosier. Make sure you check him out there for free IU content on all things IU as well. Coming up, Dave Womack, longtime defensive coordinator in the SEC, father of Kane Womack, the IU defensive coordinator. You'll hear from him next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Speed Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, the only daily IU radio show that covers IU, nothing but IU. Appreciate you joining us along. Also, shout out to WBRO 89.9 down in Perry County. Looking forward to bringing the Indiana action to you guys down there, as in addition to WREF and Evansville, our great stations here on the Indiana Sports Beat Radio Network. Great show today already. Mike Schuman, just finished up with Mike talking a lot about IU basketball, IU football. Had Mike Mayer on the program earlier. He's the 22-year head coach of Indiana Golf. Just opening up a beautiful new golf course, man. But they expect that to make big changes, and they've been pretty successful as it is under Coach Mike Mayer. So looking forward to that. We talked about Caleb Love. He's got a visit scheduled for the weekend of the Ohio State football game, 13th through the 15th of September. Visits also scheduled to Missouri, North Carolina, Louisville, Kansas. And he has Arizona as his top 6 as well. I don't think that they get a visit neither. He's already been there possibly. Jordan Geronimo, he's going to be visiting on the weekend of August 30th. That's 2 weeks from this past weekend, the weekend of IU opening up their football season up in Indianapolis's Lucas Oil Stadium against the Ball State Cardinals. So
Those coming up next. We had the opportunity to talk with former coach Dave Womack. He is a longtime defensive coordinator in the SEC. His son, Kane Womack, obviously is the defensive coordinator for Indiana, now the youngest in the Big Ten. He also worked with Coach Tom Allen, but pretty cool conversation we got to have with him. Let's roll to that, Jake.
What time was wake-up call this morning?
This morning was 6:15. I'm used to getting up at 10. So, yeah. It was nice to be out there today, watch them practice and do that kind of thing.
What are you trying to bring in the time that you're here? Obviously, the similarities between the
I don't know how much I can bring to them, really. I mean, Kane had asked me to come up, I don't know, last year, and we couldn't for some reason, and I was able to do it this year. We do travel a lot, and I'm going to just watch them, see what they do in their individuals and scheme and all that other stuff for the next few days, today, Friday, and Saturday, and then I'll talk to them about that, and we'll just kind of go from there.
I think even in South Alabama, you did this for Kane.
Yeah, I did. I went down there. It was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember what it was, but it's just nice. I think for Kane, it's not that he needs security in any way, but he likes to hear another voice. That somebody's done it for a long time, which I have. But Tom's right. I've forgotten a lot of things. So.
When was the first time that you got the sense Kane wanted to do this?
Oh my gosh! I think he's said. I think from the time he was 5 or 6 years old. He used to go to practice with me and be around the players and the guys. And I think he just fell in love with it, which you do. And so, Kane's 32. It's been 25 years or more for sure.
You said most of your conversations regarded fishing, your grandsons, and his house.
Yeah.
Is that mostly what you guys talk about these days?
Well, yeah, we talk a lot. We talk a lot about football too, but those grandsons, having the 3 boys, my wife and I always travel together, so she's always here with us, and getting to see them. And then my daughter is married to the head strength coach at Liberty, so we go over there, and then we try to do some other traveling. But it's fun just to talk to them about football too.
Your experience in the SEC, you've seen a lot of speed defensively. How do you see kind of that in terms of what Coach Allen is building and recruiting here?
Well, I think he certainly had a good playbook to see, and play all those teams that we did in the years we were there. And, I got a chance to watch 7 Indiana games in person last year, and both at home and on the road and everything. And you could see just watching practice today that the skill level's improving, and you can see their experience starting to come through a little bit, the way they're communicating and doing those things out there. But I don't think there's any doubt the last couple of years they've recruited pretty well, and I think they want to, speed makes up for a lot of mistakes, and eliminate mistakes, get the best players you can on the field, and good things are going to happen.
Obviously, you talk about since Kane was 5, he was around the team, but when it became evident he wanted to become a coach, did you give him any advice?
Yeah, don't do it. No, seriously. I can remember my wife and I, when I was at Georgia Tech, he was in that mode of, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want to do. So we took him to the national convention, and that year it was in Nashville. And of course, every year you do that, maybe half, 15 or 20 of your friends are out of a job or transitioning, so we took him to all those people first, and we really kind of was like, you got to make sure you want to do this kind of attitude towards him. And I can remember getting home, and he said, Mom, Dad, would you sit down on the couch for a minute? And I said, sure, yeah, we'll share anything. And he said, this is what I want to do. So, that's been a long time ago. I can't remember what year it was, but you could see it. That's what he wanted to do. And then, before that, even he was asking questions about scheme and those types of things. So, I think Kane's his own person, and I think certainly the names helped him, but I think he's kind of, built his own way to get to where he is right now, and I'm extremely proud of him.
He's pretty young for Obviously,
Yeah.
just being in the position.
Yeah. One of the things that I always tried to do with Kane was a graduate assistant for me at Arkansas when I first got there in, I guess that was 11 or 12, I'm not sure. But I let him coach a position. I let him coach that Husky position. And I did that with all those guys. And I had a guy named Trey Scott that's a defensive line coach at Georgia. DeMarcus Covington is the linebacker coach with the New England Patriots. Christian Robinson coaches the linebackers at Florida. And it makes a difference when you actually experience that part of it. Could they go out and recruit and do some of those things? No, but he's always had the personality. I mean, he's more outgoing than I am. And I just knew it was all going to come together for him because he had, so many experiences. And then back to the graduate assistants, I think it's important that they, I was a graduate assistant under Lou Holtz years ago at Arkansas. And I mean, we used to grind the grinds before he had film, and we had to hang all the stuff on the wall and all that other. And they treated us pretty tough. So I thought, when I got to be a full-time coaches, I'm going to let my guys, I'm going to reward them a little bit, after a year or two of being there. So I think that makes a difference too.
Was there any sense of comfort, or maybe that's the wrong word, when he got this opportunity, knowing that he's paired with Tom, a guy you've trusted and
Oh,
coached?
sure. I mean, think the world of Tom. And Tom's a heck of a man first before he's anything else. And I was around Tom for 6 years, both Ole Miss. Well, I guess he left a year or two before that. But I knew what kind of man Tom was, and I was so happy for Tom to get the opportunities, and the timing was right, where he went and everything. I hated to lose him when he left Ole Miss, but absolutely feel confident. And then, I think it makes a difference too that Tom's a defensive coach, and I'm prejudiced towards, the best coaches are defensive coaches. Everybody knows that. If you don't believe me, ask Nick Saban and all those guys. But yeah, absolutely, it's comfort that he's here with Tom.
Tom's always sort of talked about learning this defense from you. Where did you get it? Is it something you just kind of developed over time? Did you learn it from somebody?
Yeah, you know what? For a long time, I've been friends with Bud Foster and Gary Patterson, going back to, I guess, even the early 80s. And we all kind of always, you always got somebody that you can call and do this and that. And, it's the 4-2-5, and I don't know who started it. I'm sure we stole most of the stuff when we were doing it, but the guys that I kind of counted on and talked to the most were those guys. And of course, everybody tweaks it their own way for what they need against the opponents they're going to face in that particular year. But I did like the ability for it to be so multiple, and I think that made a huge difference for us over the years.
It just fit in terms of the way the game's going, in terms of spread offenses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can change out one guy or sometimes two, depending if they want to go clear to empty sets and stuff. But with a speed guy at Husky instead of a more big guy, I mean, we have the ability in the defense to put a bigger linebacker type guy in there for the Husky. But almost everybody you play now is one back of some sort, and they're mostly 11 personnels, and a lot of them are 10. And then they'll go to 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, and it just adjusts so easily. So, when we put in the defense, and we always put in a lot of defense and put it in fast in the summer, and then I thought we always did a great job of game planning and narrowing it down for that week. But yet you could always go back to the foundation in the summer and, and the teaching part of it, the camps and everything. We had more practices back then, 2-a-days and everything. But I just thought it was a simple system that players could learn. And to me, the game is not about, the team that you're playing. It's about yourself and eliminating mistakes. And the smarter you play, the fewer mistakes that you make, you're going to win more football. There's no doubt about that.
Well, Tommy, I was talking about the mannerisms maybe between you and King are similar. Have you noticed anything that he says or does that's similar to you?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to judge that. I don't really know. I don't know. That's a tough question. Never really thought about it.
And you go fishing a lot? Is where you go?
Do I go fishing? Yeah, we've got 85 acres in the backyard. So we have the number 3 bass lake in all the southeast United States. And since I've lived there, which is 4.5 years, I've caught 112 over 8 pounds. So
was that Mississippi?
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I just got back from a trip to Canada. It was smallmouth fishing, so Hunt, fish, football, travel. That's life.
Hunt, fish, football, and travel. Sounds like the life of leisure, huh? Former SEC defensive coordinator Dave Womack, coach of Kane Womack, Indiana's young defensive coordinator there, with just a cool conversation that we're able to have with him. What a great show it's been already today. Way to get this week off started on the right track. Mike Schuman from Daily Hoosiers with us. Make sure you go to thedailyhoosier.com for complete IU coverage. Free content for you there. Look forward to that tomorrow. Don't forget, starting next week, next Monday, our good friend Don Fisher is back on the program as we get things started, as football season is upon us. And Don will be with us for the remainder of the all the way through basketball season. Hopefully that goes into April next year, but at least late March. But looking forward to his weekly visits beginning next week. So Don Fisher here with us each Monday starting next week. But that's going to wrap it up. We appreciate it. Mike Schuman and Dave Womack. We had Mike Mayer and Angela Pizzo on the show as well today. Great to have all of them. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.